and welcome back to Blame the Dice Wargaming. My name's Tim, and today I've got another unboxing video for you. Today we're going to be doing the Iden Version Optive expansion. This is Iden and her little droid, ID10, I believe it's called, but we'll get to look at that in a bit more detail in just 1 second, and look at the model, look at the cards, and discuss how she might be used in the battlefield. See you in a second. So, Iden Versio and ID10 Commander expansion. Let's get into this and see what comes with this one. This is all new to me. This isn't kind of something I've looked at online and can say, oh, I know what this does and I understand how I'm going to use it. So this is an absolute exploratory mission for me going forwards. So some of the stuff I'm going to have to read from the rule deck and double check as we go along. Right, okay, let's have a look. So, cardboard, lots and lots of upgrades. We'll explore that in a bit. Just one sprue with the units on. We'll come back to those in a second. 2 miniature bases on a flight stand. Excellent. And your rules showing us, your instructions rather, showing us how to build the units. Okay, there we've got the droid. Interesting. Oh, I've got Iden showing us the variable configs that you can go with. Oh, interesting. I didn't realise the masks would be so interchangeable. That's interesting. I look forward to seeing how that plays out with design of them. And you can see down there how she can look depending on the way you choose to build her. Interesting stuff. This will be fun to do. And then an absolute boat ton of rules because like if you just watched the Cassian Endor, that I suspect there's going to be an awful lot of different rules and different things that are going to be built into this. Excellent stuff. Right, let's get to the cards and find out what we've got. Looks like she's going to be very, very detailed. Looks like there's an awful lot in the body. The detail around the trousers, the belt, the armour, very, very nice. A couple of options with the arms and the weapons. There's the droid. The legs seem a bit chunky, but I guess it's hard to do something so fine in this scale. And let's have a look at her face. They've really captured her well. What do you think? I think that looks very much like her. Excellent stuff. We'll see what she looks like put together in just a second. So this is Iden. Now I'm very zoomed in, so the camera may be a little bit wobbly, so do forgive me. But I thought you'd want to have a look at all the marvellous detail on there. I've gone for what I consider her to be a really dynamic pose, where she's, I don't know, on patrol, arm up to stop who's coming with her, gun at the ready. I put the helmet on the floor because I thought, well, I couldn't not. But once again, I'm struck by the incredible detail FFG have been able to go to since I moved to hard plastic, and the absolute quality in terms of the absolute lack of any significant mould lines. Really impressive stuff. Okay, let's have a look at her droid, ID10. A much more straightforward model, like you might imagine. Need to be careful when messing with the arms because they are very fragile and very thin. I think they do look a little bit chunky, frankly, for the model, but I don't suppose there's a way they can get them thinner at this scale. But a very nice looking bit of kit. Sufficient level of detail, I think. Certainly looks very small. Certainly captures the dynamics of the character as you see in the video games and hear about in the books that explain where Iden came from. So here we are with Iden Verso's card. She is a commander as a trooper, and she has 6 health, 3 courage, which is a first, I believe, for the Empire, and rolls red dice to defend. So 6 health and red dice, she's probably going to do very well. She converts some surge to hits on offensive, but nothing defensively. Moved at the speed of 2. As a standard weapon, she's got an E11 blaster and is significantly more efficient than your standard Stormy, who she rolls 3 white dice with Pierce 1. So that's pretty good. Your chance of getting at least 1 hit through there is reasonable if she is shooting at something out of cover. In close combat, she's got advanced combat training, so she'll be rolling 2 reds. And in terms of upgrade cards, she's got a reasonable amount. She's got 2 training upgrade slots, which are those triangular pointing downwards ones you see at the top. And she's got 1 gear and 1 weapon slot for the variable loadout of guns that you can take. So she's 100 points, which at first glance seems like a very good price. Especially for the 3 courage bubble. That is something that the Empire will really appreciate. So let's go through some of the detail on the card and see what we can glean from this. So she's got, as an action, she can do quick thinking, which is gain 1 aim and 1 dodge token. Before this card, this was only seen on Jyn Erso, so it was interesting to be seeing this on the Empire. So essentially, this is a more efficient action. So instead of having to toss up between the 2, you'll do 1 and get both. She's also got Covert Ops. So when deploying, you may treat your rank as an operative. So essentially, instead of her being your commander, you can run her as an operative. And if you do, you can gain Infiltrate. So just to remind you, if you're not sure, Infiltrate is where you can deploy anywhere on the battlefield, so outside of your deployment zone, and even inside the enemy deployment zone. However, you've got to be at range 3 from an enemy unit when you deploy. So you could park yourself on top of a moisture evaporator or a key position or something that they are trying to fight you off, or make a daring box grab early on by doing this. She's got loadouts. This is an interesting and new dynamic option that we're going to have. So when you deploy, you may swap any of your equipped upgrade cards with any of your set aside cards. So that gives us quite a lot of options, and that's something we'll explore in a bit more detail when we look at what cards come with her, because it's probably easier to explain. But essentially, this gives you versatility. So it's a very simple example. If we talk about gear, if you think, do you know what, I'm going to run her with environmental gear because I want to make sure she can get across the table and get into positions or get out of trouble if she was doing one of the infiltrate things. So you put on her the 3-point card for environmental gear. However, you get on the table and there's no difficult terrain, so you don't need this. However, there's lots of stuff to climb, so you can swap that 3-point card out for another 3-point card, as long as you pre-prepare it, of course. You don't just get to decide, per battle, but you could swap that out for the grappling hooks, where essentially you can say, well, both the same points, I'll just substitute one in for it. So it means that she can be much more versatile, and your list building can be much more versatile as well, which is great. Okay, Marksmen. This is another new one, which again is very nice. So when attacking, you can spend an aim token to improve your attack die result. So it's similar to the way dodge works. So if you have a dodge token, you can cancel a die result before you start rolling any defense. This is a bit different. So you can turn a blank into a hit. You can turn a hit into a crit. That's something that I think is definitely worth bearing that in mind. Yes, she's rolling 3 white dice, so it's as statistically likely to get a crit as it is to get a hit. But it is what it is with those. However, she does have some weapons upgrades, so maybe that'll be a bit more versatile there. And lastly, on a unit with 6 health and red defense dice, she has nimble. So when she spends a dodge token, she keeps it. So if you do quick thinking, you give yourself an aim token and a dodge token, so you're utilizing marksman and nimble in that turn from one action, you're going to keep that dodge token, which is brilliant. And I'm very jealous as someone who's predominantly a rebel player, or very annoyed that this keyword is being given out to other people. Okay, let's move on to ID10, the Seeker Droid. So here we have ID10's Seeker Droid, a different kind of unit. This is much more akin to your C3PO to R2D2, and that's something I just think we want to make sure we are aware of straight away, because the card is quite a bit different, and this requires them to go together in a very, very particular kind of way. However, this is a 15-point unit, so not a lot of money being spent for what you get. So let's go through it. So counterpart, so when building an army, this mini can only be added to Iden Versio. So never without anyone else, and never without. So this one is attached to her. If you aren't familiar, Iden is from the Battlefront games for the Xbox and the PS4, I think. And essentially, this droid is permanently with it, and what gives her the ability, some of the abilities she's got, which we'll explore more in her command cards. So This unit has recharge 1, so when you recover, flip 1 inactive shield token. And just to remind you, a shield token is something that will come with this unit. So essentially, you carry around with you something akin to a dodge token. The difference is that dodge token can be spent against criticals, where dodge can never be. So you are even more buffed. And like we said before, you're already running with nimble, you're already rolling red defense dice, you've already got 6 health, so this is an extra way to make a very tough unit even tougher, and that's what the shielded references there. You have 1 shield token. And lastly, you are small, so when defending, turn the line of sight to Iden. So essentially, this unit doesn't count towards cover or anything. It doesn't exist in those terms. So essentially, if you are trying to see do I have line of sight on Iden, well, if you can only see the droid, then you don't. If you can only see Iden and she is out in the open, but the droid's in heavy cover, well, I'm afraid Iden's out in the open because this unit does not count. Only has 1 health, this unit, so you may choose to sell this one down the river before Iden. Well, of course you will. And as a standard weapon, it's got a melee 2, range 1, 3 white shock attack, which is suppressive. So starting with her upgrade cards for her weapons, you've got 2 choices which you can have on top of the 3 white dice that she comes with natively. So for 15 points, starting on the left, you can have the sniper rifle, which has high velocity, which essentially means enemies can't spend dodge tokens to cancel a hit, which is great. And you've got Pierce 1, which is also great. So essentially, you're likely to be rolling through some death and damage to units, because essentially, if anything gets through, anything at all, they can't really dodge it because they've got high velocity and you've got Pierce, so it's going to kill it. And 15 points, that's not bad. The main point about this one is it's a range 1 to infinite with 2 black dice, so it's an exceptionally well costed for 15 points and exceptionally powerful. If you remember, the original snipers were of the same vein. Now they've been nerfed down to range 5, which is fine, but this brings back the infinite range rifle back to the table to the named characters again. And 15 points, that is incredible value. Now, other options also include the TL50 repeater. Now, this is a range 1 to 3 with 2 reds, a black, and 2 white for 15 points. And this also has critical 1. So just to remind you, so that's when converting offensive surges, change up to 1 surge to a crit, which is great. It's also got impact 1, so you can change 1 hit to a crit. So in essence, I think we can probably say to a reasonable degree of certainty, you're going to be rolling 2 crits on this, which is going to be brilliant for pushing through armor, or in the instance of critical 1, brilliant for pushing through something behind heavy cover. So this is probably one of the best all-round weapons I've ever seen in the game, because it'll work especially well against armor, but equally well against something just in heavy cover you're trying to root out. Now, both these are 15 points. That's probably not an accident. So let's remember what they said about loadout. So that's when you deploy, you may swap any of your equipped upgrade cards with any set aside upgrades. So essentially, let's just say you're running Iden with a sniper rifle. You get on the table, and there's you are going to play limited viz, and you don't think you're going to get your bang for your buck, or there's just no places for a sniper to go, or she's going to have to get much more in the thick of it. So you say, well, fine, I'll set the set aside card, which is the repeater. We're going to equip that instead. So that's really, really nice and really, really useful. So you get 3 different training upgrades here. One being Hunter, which is if you're attacking a unit which has got a wounded token attached to it, you get to gain an aim token when doing so, which is great. Always nice to have the ability to get tokens for free. 6 points, not a lot of points. And then your 2 other options are both at 4 points, which might again be relevant when it comes to your loadout decision making. Probably worth taking something at this point, I think. Overwatch gives you Sentinel, so instead of your ability to have a standby action coming into effect at range 1 to 2, you're getting that range 1 to 3, which is going to be really, really useful given some of the kind of weapons she's got and the fact that you can move out of cover, or into cover rather, or you can attack something that's moved out of cover to attack you. Very nice. An offensive push, you can, when you move, gain tactical 1. This is a card you've got to recover, so you will choose wisely when you use it, but it might be good if you need to be able to move, shoot, aim and shoot, that you can do this. But essentially, tactical 1 means after you move, you can gain a standard aim token, but this requires you to spend your card, so you would have to spin it and recover to get the use of that back again. But a very nice set of cards to come with this, and are very appropriate for what we're looking at here. Next up, we've got 2 gear upgrades. We've got grappling hooks, which I referenced earlier, so you gain expert climber. So instead of having to clamber, you can essentially not have to deal with that. So just a reminder, if you're in base contact with something below range 1, you can spend both your actions to go up and on top of it or over it, and then you're done. Or you can clamber and spend 1 action, so you can go up it and then shoot when you're at the top of that building. However, if you do so, there is a gamble where you have to roll some white dice for the height of the building and potentially suffer some damage, which isn't always nice. This can negate that and essentially stop that from happening. And recon intel grants you scout 1, so essentially after you deploy you may do a 1 speed maneuver, which may be useful particularly if you're planning to infiltrate with her. If you are forced to, say, be in a position which is outside of range 3 of your enemy, because those are rules which infiltrate has, you can use this to place outside of range 3 and maybe move into range 3 or into cover or into a out of firing range or out of line of sight or something. So could be quite useful, and point costs very cheap, very affordable, very recommended. And lastly, we've got a pair of comms upgrades. Now you might be thinking, comms upgrades? I don't remember hearing about that. I neglected to mention on ID10 that unit had a comms upgrade slot. So if you are running ID10 with Iden, you will be able to have access to these. So those 2 are comms jammer, which 15 points isn't cheap, but essentially enemy units at range 1 can't be issued orders unless they're issuing it to themselves, which could be quite useful, particularly if you are trying to get the drop on someone. They can't just move, be issued an order if they're close and get out of line of sight. So it gives you a bit of control, but 15 points is a lot. However, it's always on, so it's quite a good thing to have, I would say. Next one is your comms relay, which when you will be issued an order, you may, instead of taking the order, pass that down the line to another friendly unit at range 1 to 2. Which would be quite useful in all fairness, because sometimes, particularly when you are looking at her command cards, you may think, well, actually I don't really want Iden to take this order. Iden's in a good position and I'm happy for her token to come out when it comes out, but there's a squad at range, maybe another set of troopers, maybe some snipers, maybe it's going to be Infernal Squad when they land. You want to give them the order so they can do something first, and then Iden can finish things off. So we'll start with Iden's 1 pip. This is a pulse scanner, and it issues an order to Iden Versio only. Iden Versio gains Sharpshooter 2, which, just as a reminder, is where you can reduce somebody's cover by 2. So even in hard cover, heavy cover rather, they're going to get nothing for this. And she'll also gain 1 aim token. At the end of her activation, she gains 1 dodge token and 1 standby token. This is really nice and really clever. So let's just unpack this for a second. You issue her the order. She's got Sharpshooter 2. It's a 1 pip card, so she can go first if she wants to, give or take. Some commanders she might come against who can force that off you. But in essence, she can shoot with an aim token at something that is out of cover, regardless of where it currently sits, as long as you can see it. And then she gains a dodge token and can do a standby action. So if that unit then activates and says it aims or moves to get a shot at her, she can possibly move out of line of sight or into cover or something. Could be really, really useful and really frustrating to play against, I would bet. But a really, really thematic card, and I think it really pairs well with her as a unit and will make her a lot of fun, and something where I think if you're infiltrating, you might infiltrate with an eye on this card. So next we have a 2 pip card, which is Concussive Blast, which issues an order to Iden Versio only. When Iden activates, she recovers. During Iden's activation, she gains the following weapon. So she recovers, which is great, because if you are suppressed, you're going to presumably need the ability to maybe aim or move or something. So you gain this range 1 to 2 weapon, which is 5 red dice. With Blast, so that's going to ignore cover, which is brilliant. With Scatter, which means you get to force the enemy to do a speed 1 maneuver and then to have the troops cohere around the unit leader at your say-so. So you can pull them out to cover for the next unit that's going to attack them, so they are completely out of cover. and suppressive. So now that unit is presumably been attacked, if it managed to live, it's now out of cover, it's suppressed to the gills, and it's been shot at with 5 red dice. So I think you're going to be using this against some of the bigger, tougher units that you absolutely have to annihilate. Now, next up, we have another 2-pip. This is an absolute first, as far as I'm aware, where you get another 2-pip, and this one is also for Iden, so this isn't just for K2SO. Sorry, not K2SO, that's what I was thinking of, not just for ID10. And essentially, this one reads as following. This gives an order to Iden on her own, and during Iden's activation, you may choose an enemy trooper unit at range 1 and a line of sight of Iden's ID10 Seeker Droid. That unit gains 3 suppression tokens. Then, if it's a trooper unit that has not activated this round, assign a face-up order token from its order pool or flip its order token face down. So frankly, this gives you a way to nullify a unit, to say this turn you are doing nothing and you're going to be suppressed to the hills. So even on your next turn, you're still going to have 2 suppression tokens. So next turn you might be fleeing up towards the table edge, or you may be essentially nullified to the point where you can't launch an effective counter attack. Now, this card, the only downfall, and I say downfall very loosely, is you need to have the Seeker Droid. You can't just be running this card with Iden as she is on her own, because you won't be able to use her. And lastly, we have Tactical Strike. This is the first 4 cards to give Iden order and 3 troopers, so quite useful. Sounds like this one might be a very strong one, because 3 troopers and your commander is going to be quite useful there. So when Iden or a friendly specialist unit has a face-up order token activates, it may reduce its maximum speed by 1. If it does, it gains steady and tactical 1. So just to explain what that means, so you give out that order token to your, a scout squad nearby for simple example, it moves a speed 1 maneuver forward because it's had its movement reduced by 1, so it's doing a maximum 1. However, with steady, it's also going to gain the ability to perform a free attack. So think about it this way: you could, with that sniper unit, aim first, then move as your second action, and then attack for free. So you're getting 3 actions there for the price of 2. Now, when you pair that with Tactical 1, which means that after you perform a standard move, you gain an aim token, you've now got the ability to aim, move, get a free aim, get a free shot with 2 aim tokens, or you've taken a dodge token or something. So either way, you have got a lot of versatility baked in there, or you might come up with some concoction along the lines of, you might do that with standby. You might, standby, move, get the aim token. Not quite as effective, but you are still getting a lot of actions, and you're there waiting to shoot at something with extra aim tokens and a standby. Could be quite useful. Who knows? This one could be very, very interesting. I think it might be one of those ones where sometimes it doesn't really give you what you're looking for, and other times it lands really well. I think in this situation, I'd probably quite like that one if I could get it out of the doors fairly early on to do a lot of reducing down their overall health of enemy trooper units, making them less effective, or focus firing on a unit caught out to kind of get a shot of it, just so you've got these activation superiority. But a nice card, I think that could be really interesting to use, and I look forward to trying that on the tabletop. And also, I think the artwork of this one has been the favourite I've seen so far. Really pleased with that. That's it for Iden and ID10. I think they're going to be a lot of fun to use, and it doesn't seem too complicated. There's times when you read through these things, and I personally find myself thinking, I'm not going to be able to remember all these things or play that right. Everything that comes with this it seems like a low skill to use, and that isn't an insult. That's a great thing. That means you're not having to think, well, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do this one thing or another. It all seems like it fits easily together and will require a very minimal change to your gameplay to get maximum result. So go forward and try this one out. I'm really looking forward to trying this one. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I think it's going to be nice and tasty, because my opponents won't know which way the wind's blowing, because with loadout and the ability to convert to an operative means I have got the ability to say, she's my commander, she's an operative, she's deploying into the field, she's got this sniper rifle. Actually, no, now she's got a different gun. Now she's not running Overwatch, she's running something else. I really like it. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm going to get on the table ASAP. Okay, guys, that's it. That's me waffled out. So thank you very much for watching. Please go and like and subscribe. Leave me a comment. I will read and respond to it. It's always nice to hear what you've got to say. And go to the Blame the Dice Wargaming Facebook page. You will find far more than me waffling on about Legion. You will find an awful lot, around 40k, Malifaux, Armada, X-Wing, Blood Bowl, even branching into Pokemon. But there's all sorts going on, including regular competitions and giveaways. And who doesn't like free things? Okay, guys, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and go to the Facebook page for Blame the Dice. And I will see you again next time. Bye for now.